You're listening to Personality, your gateway to the latest in gaming news.
Tekken 8 is doing an amazing job at not only sustaining its hype, but somehow managing to garner even more hype before its eventual release next year, January. And let me tell y'all something, they did that with Victor Chevalier yesterday. This trailer was epic. I mean, if you cannot find somebody to play in Tekken 8, bro, I don't know, maybe this game is just not for you, because these 32 characters, let me tell you something, this game is making it hard to choose one character to play. Look, Victor came through with the CQC style, with the guns, the knives, the sword. He's got this Raiden-like sword. He's teleporting all over the place. He's just doing the most, bro. He's like Big Boss, Raiden, and Jetstream Sam all mixed together into one perfect, badass old man. And look, I must have watched this trailer about 5 times. Literally 5 times, and that was just within the release window of it just coming out. So I just sat down there and was like, okay, I need to see this again. Okay, I need to see this again. His gameplay is something that I never thought would have been in Tekken, and let me explain what I mean by that, because Tekken has kind of gone far from its grounded martial arts approach a long time ago. But in my initial perception of what Tekken was, I would never imagine that a character like Victor would have a place in it. But it gets even more insane when we explore elements of his lore. So they actually gave us a quick write-up on Victor, and part of it that, you know, would garner your attention the most is the fact that he directs the Raven unit, an elite team he trained himself to conduct special ops all over the world, while in the meantime he takes up the mantle as the leader of the UN forces. This guy is the big boss of, of certain things in the Tekken universe, and it's very interesting to see his relation to the Raven force. So we got Raven, we got Master Raven. What is he? Tekken God Raven? Is he Grandmaster Raven? Like, what title does this man have? But you know, he's actually stepping out of his relaxed nature, you know, just being himself, just probably chilling, doing UN things, to be like, nah, the world is really in turmoil and somebody's got to step up, you know. And Victor just put it upon himself that he is him, you know, he's going to be the guy that is stepping up. Now, just as I would have expressed that maybe this is something that I never thought I'd see in Tekken, despite the fact that Tekken has been getting a bit more bizarre ever so often with each entry, most people reacted the same, you know. Some people were like, oh my goodness, Noctis is back. So as you know, in Tekken 7, the DLC character Noctis, which is a Final Fantasy character, it's funny to think that a Final Fantasy character somehow was in Tekken. That's why I think Final Fantasy needs its own fighting game at this point. They've got a lot of fighting game reps. So some people were reminiscing on the fact that he reminded them a bit of Noctis, and you know, there are similarities not only to Noctis but a plethora of other characters throughout the history of the Tekken franchise, but this one just kind of stood out because obviously he's got the sword, he's kind of teleporting everywhere. That is basic Noctis gameplay in a nutshell. But I'm just loving the approach that we get with Victor. You know, there's some other reactions. Some people, they're really looking forward to Victor. I think some people are gonna have a hard time, just as myself, deciding on who to main. So I haven't seen any gameplay from my boy Steve. You know, we got a little clip in the Legends Return trailer where he doesn't look too, you know, kosher for me, but it's very hard. I mean, in a game where you've got basically demons, you've got bears running around, and then you've got a ninja, a French ninja running about, I think it's very hard for you to just settle in on boxing, despite that being my favorite fighting style that is often presented in these games. But Tekken 8, let me tell y'all something, cool king right now, and I can't wait until January 26th next year, because it's gonna be an epic time. Let me tell y'all something. We got one more reveal, and if you haven't seen the reveal, stay away from Tekken discussions because it was leaked. But we've got one more reveal on November 12th, and that should also be an interesting character to see. I'm not gonna say who it is, but just know it's another new character. So Tekken 8 is really beefing up their roster with even more new additions. So we got some news for Granblue Versus Rising. So, you know, I touched on it in my last video saying that they were delayed from November 30th, and I made a mistake, but the new release date is December 14th. Of what I was speaking about before would have been the early access, but the release date for everyone is December 14th. Now, the cause of the delay, as explained by the producers, is that after their first online beta was held in July, the development team pulled out all the stops to rework the game's mechanics and battle design in time for the initially scheduled release date. Despite our best efforts, however, it has become clear to me that additional time will be needed to put the finishing touches on the game. Now, we also got to remember that these guys are taking feedback seriously. Now, one of the biggest controversial elements to Granblue was the fact that many people didn't know how to feel about the use of simple controls just having the same benefits as, you know, the classic controls. That has since then been changed. So the producers actually came out and they heard that feedback and they eventually made the change so that simple inputs are not as rewarding as the classic inputs. So I think this is definitely a team that is listening to feedback and they do care about launching a very good product. Unlike some other games that are out right now, they don't want to launch a product that's all kind of weird and broken, and then on top of that constantly needed to run back and fix certain things, and it's inevitable that things will need to be fixed. That's just the standard in terms of what has been happening these days, because as more people come to play the game, you get more opportunities to discover things that are wrong. But that is even more evident that they're trying to collect all this data because there is now a change to the open beta dates. So beforehand, it was going to run from November 9th to the 10th. Then it would have had a break until November 11th at 11 p.m. to 11 p.m. on November 12th. They've now decided that it's still going to remain at November 9th to the 10th, but it's going to open a bit earlier. So we have now a 48-hour window additional instead of the 24-hour additional window. 48 more hours to participate in the beta. Now the beta is going to have all the characters, it's going to have different game modes available, so we could test out the Fall Guys-esque type feature that Granblue is going to have. And above all else, I think Granblue is going to be a very solid game. Let me tell y'all something. Y'all know I did not stand by this game beforehand. I played it, I didn't really like the beta, but then I found myself wanting to play Granblue again. Like, I think it's a well-grounded game that is going to surprise a lot in terms of how well the game is being made and perhaps how well it feels to play this game. So Granblue is definitely on my radar when it's releasing, and it's releasing closer to the holidays, so who can complain? What are you complaining for? You can't be mad that these people are trying to make a good product. Yeah. Then on top of that, to reward their longtime fans, if you have any previous data from Granblue Versus on your console, there will be a special badge that is given out to anyone who plays Rising thereafter. But speaking of betas, we've got On the Night in Birth on its way, giving us a schedule for their open beta, which is scheduled to begin on November 17th, 5 p.m. That's PST timing, to November 19th of 11 a.m. And this open beta is going to be available on PlayStation 5 and 4. Now we've got actually a list of the available characters in Hyde, Lynn, Wallstein, Karmi, Ori, Gordo, Merkaba, Batista, Seth, Yuzuhira, Hilda, Chaos, Nanase, Byakuya, Fonan. Basically, not the whole roster, but a lot of characters are there. Kuon will not be playable, so they wanted to make sure on that. So what's going to be available in the beta is casual matches, character select that you will use so you could go into training. You can observe CPU versus CPU matches, you can battle against the CPU, and then you have obviously the ability to change in-game options. Now what is noted, rollback netcode will be implemented, some content may differ from the final product, save date created for the open beta will not be transferred, and online multiplayer is not available to those who are not subscribed. So that's just the gist of it, in terms of what exactly would be included in that beta. And Under Night in Birth is actually launching on the 25th of January 2024, so just one day before Tekken 8. Wow. Some serious fighting game content on our way, guys, but these are all the important dates that you should take note of in terms of what's going on in the fighting game community right about now. We're getting loads of content, we are getting loads of information, and I can't wait to play all these games. Let me tell y'all, Tekken 8 is gonna be cooking. Look, I love Street Fighter 6. It has my favorite current style. But you see Tekken 8, when I look at Tekken 8, I really do see the next gen fighting game. They've still got some issues to iron out in terms of connection, but in terms of the overall presentation, Tekken 8 is up there. But that's all we're gonna be talking about today. Let me know what you guys think about all these reveals, what's happening. I hope to catch some of you on that beta. Obviously, don't miss those betas, they're open betas. And of course, enjoy all that these guys have to offer us for free at times, so we could finally decide if we're going to make a purchase. But I'll see you all in the next video, but until then, stay gaming.